Yeah.
Come on, I can tell you, you gotta read the word outside. Beta.
I want to show you a people, just take my hand. A people that was trodden down, taken from their land. Sold as a bondwoman, a bondman. A people brought back into Egypt once again. A people that is suffering from curses so real. And if you don't believe that, just check the back of your dollar bill. We the people with the grip on his brother's heel. So they brought us on ships with the intent to kill. Cause we the people of the prophecy. A people lost like hide and seek. A people numbered like the sand of the shining sea. A people on a trail of tears that stretches far back as the eyes can see. The people like a city on a hill. The people that was hidden is revealed. The people who eventually would rise up and tell the whole wide world that they time's up. The promise, the prophethood is ours, not Ishmael or Muhammad. Our roots is in the Bible, it was never Islamic. The Arabs push it on us through slavery and violence. For hundreds of years, we've been suffering in silence. The people getting shot up by cops with the sirens. Dead bodies drop in the land that is spiritually side up. Now we trying to reach our God for asylum. We the people that was slain, the people that was hanged, hog-tied, beaten up and tamed. The people that's in need for a change. The people that the Father sent the Son to reclaim. The people that was bought with a price. The people of the Most High, the people of Christ. The people that was so damaged, but now we woke with the hope singing Hosanna.
Yeah, that's over. Good morning, Miss Cox. Good to see you on with us this morning.
It's the P-E-O-P-L-E. You can read about us through the pages of the KJV. It's the lost
Shout out to Aviva.
All we want to do is serve God and be free. We a nation of kings and a nation of queens. A royal priesthood with Jacob in our genes. And this they know, so the nations despise us. But it's only cause the kingdom's inside us. So they got a plot and scheme to divide us. It's a weak attempt to try to deprive us. They try to rob us, but yet still a diamond shines in the rough, can't change his will. 144,000 say still, and the new city Jerusalem will still be built. We've been waiting for this time for the longest. Not a place to call our own, so we homesick.
Morning, cuz. Good to see you on with us this morning. Shabbat Shalom, Facebook fam. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 42 of the awakening of the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man. Like this morning, I want to give all praise to a higher Bahashem Yahshua, Robert Walk. And for all those who are not familiar with the Hebrew, that is all praises to the Most High, in the name of Christ as well as the Holy Spirit. And once again, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 42 of the awakening of the so-called black man, of the so-called African-American man that is in this country. Boy, it's good to be back with you guys this weekend, this Sabbath. Y'all better know that I missed y'all last Sabbath, man. Your boy was going through some things, going through some situations, man. But I'm back, better than before. Matter of fact, I'm better than ever right now. You feel me? And I just thank the Most High for healing my body. Thank the Most High for all those who was in prayer with me and supported me, came visit me, man. A lot going on, man, but we back at it, man. We back on this same, man, the awakening of our people, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man. And we have a double-fold lesson for you here today because we was off last week, and we got a lot of things that we got to get in before the end of this year. And so we got a lot of things that we try to do, so we're going to come in with a double-fold lesson today. So we're not going to waste a lot of time with the introduction. We're just about to go straight into the lesson. But there's some things that we got to deal with quickly before we actually get into the lesson. There's some things that we have to settle. You know, I was kind of out of the game, kind of to myself for like a week or so, and really wasn't talking to a lot of people. That I just had to deal with things that was going on with myself. You know what I'm saying? I kind of watched a lot of TV, was just sitting around just looking at things and just hearing the pulse of the streets. So I felt like it was very vital that I go into this thing that we're about to go into now. Because, you know, let me get into it first, and we'll dissect it as we go on. Go with me in your Bibles to Mark the 3rd chapter. Mark the 3rd chapter. We're going to look at verse 25 there. I want you to hold that. I want you to get Proverbs the 3rd chapter, verse 5. All right. Like I said, we got a lot to go through today, so we're not going to do a lot of just conversing right here. We got a lot of verses, got a lot of things we got to do. We're going to be dealing with a double-fold lesson here today. Now, the first part of the lesson today that we're going to be talking about today is entitled Separating the Real from the Fake, man. You understand? Separating the real from the fake. And this is something that we've been dealing with in our community ever since its inception. You understand? We have a lot of situations where our people are being bombarded with lies dressed up as truth. You understand? And so people are feeling as if what they're doing and the life that they're living and the choices that they're making is based on the truth, when in actuality it's a lie. You understand? You got to understand that a lot of our people are living by a code that they believe to be something that's been passed down from generation to generation. But the truth of the matter is, it's a lie. It's a lie that we have come up with ourselves, and many of them are lies that has been injected to us by our slave masters and the Gentiles that were trying to keep us in a place of bondage. So today you're going to learn today to separate the real from the fake. Now, let's go to Mark, the 3rd chapter, and let's look at verse 25 there. Mark, the 3rd chapter, verse 25. Hold that with your hand and get Proverbs 3, verse 5. Jay, give him verse 25 there.
And a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
Read it for him again.
And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand.
If a house is divided, that house cannot stand. Why are we talking about this today? Because our people, the so-called black man, the so-called African American man, house is divided. You understand? You have one group of people over here that want to be a part of the Christian church. You got one group of people over here that want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. You got one people over here that want no part of the church, no part of no Bible, no part of no spiritual aspect. You got this other group over here that's saying they hotep and they connecting back to Egyptology. You got another group over here saying that they Muslims. You got another group over here that's saying they part of the conscious movement and they woke, whatever that case means. That definition means so many different things, just depending on who you're talking to. You understand? Then you got the people who are just living reckless, living wild, careless. They don't care what they're doing. And this is all built up into our community, right? But read it for them again.
And if a house be divided...
But if a house is divided...
against itself, that house cannot stand.
It can't stand, right? So this is what we see going on in our community, because we can't even come to one common ground, right? If you bring 100 black people in a room, you're gonna have basically 100 opinions. You understand? We don't have any leaders. We don't have no foundation. We don't have anything. We just have a bunch of people with a bunch of opinions, with a bunch of pride and a bunch of arrogance, trying to be right. Okay? So when a house is divided, it can't stand. And this is why we're finding ourselves in the community continue to fall apart over and over and over and over. Because once we come to some common ground, somebody else comes in with this, somebody else comes in with that, and then the next thing you know, we off. You understand? So today's lesson is entitled Separating the Real from the Fake, right? We need to come into this thing with a common ground, with a common denominator, so that we know at going forth that we need to be on one accord. And that truth is, number one, that you're not black, that you're not an African American, that you're from the tribe of Judah, from the nation of Israel. And once you grasp that understanding, then that's when you'll be able to go back and recapture truly who you are, and we can come together. as a people. Now, I'm just going to give you a preview. Next week, we got a lesson coming out called Before There Was a Church, We Were a Nation. So I'm just going to give you that preview right there, something to think about. So what we're talking about here is going to set the grounds for what we're going to be talking about next week. Now, let's go to Proverbs, the 3rd chapter. Proverbs, the 3rd chapter. And just look at verse 5 there.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart.
Trust in your education.
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart.
Trust in what grandmama said.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart.
Trust in TV.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart.
Trust in all my social media followers.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. And lean not unto thy own understanding.
That's right. Verse 6.
In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
You see that? Now, how many of you today, now, this is just a personal question. You don't have to answer this question. This is just a rhetorical question. How many of you today can truly say that you're trusting in the Lord and you're not leaning to your own understanding? You understand? Now, I'm not, because see, you got plenty of people going to church, right? Plenty of people that read their Bible, right? Many people that can quote you scripture, but are they trusting in the Lord? Right? Give me that verse 6 again.
In all thy ways acknowledge
in some of my ways.
In all thy ways.
Whenever I get sick.
In all thy ways.
Whenever I need some money.
In all thy ways.
Whenever somebody coming against me.
In all thy ways. Acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path.
In all your ways. So I'm talking about that person that you're with in a relationship right now. Did you acknowledge the Most High when you got into that relationship? Or did you just do that because that was something you felt like you wanted to do? That job that you're working on right now, did you acknowledge the Most High when you chose that job? Or was that just something you went and did? The school that you're in right now, the major that you're majoring in, did you acknowledge the Most High in that? Or did you just choose it because that's something you felt in your heart you wanted to do? Okay? So, in all our ways, we must acknowledge him. And he would do what?
Direct our path.
Then he would direct your path. Now, what does that have to do with anything that we're talking about today? Let's start with something that's going on amongst our community. And it's this, and I know you may say, why is this guy even talking about this? I know this ain't on his radar, but we got to deal with it. It's the Black Panther movie, right? The Black Panther movie. Now, you got the same evangelical Christians, right, who are supporting our current president, the guy that they call the president, in office right now, going through social media, starting groups telling people that they need to boycott the movie Black Panther, right? Now, I know some of you guys are laughing right now. Some of you may not even seen this is going on, but I saw it last week or so, and I was bamboozled. Me and my homegirl was talking about it, and it was just like, wow. And so I told her, I said, yo, I feel like I got to address this thing because this is really getting out of control. Now, this is going to be a double-sided thing that we say here, so we're going to deal with here. So I'm going to address one issue, one side of it, then we're going to deal with the other. Okay? Now, so the same evangelical Christians, these guys who are standing with the so-called president, the so-called leader of the free world, and his rhetoric and his ideals and his mindset and his perspective and the way he treats people, was standing with this guy saying this guy is the greatest Christian president of all time. So if this guy's the greatest Christian of all time, president of all time, that tells you a lot about Christianity, right? But we won't go into that, right? Now, I have always been an opponent. You could ask my deacon. I've always been an opponent of having social media debates because I believe that they are fruitless and they are pointless. You're never gonna have any type of find any kind of common ground because I'm coming over there with mine. He's gonna come over there with his, and the only thing we're trying to do is prove each other wrong, right? So I've always been against all these social media debates. I tell people all the time, you're wasting your time trying to convince people anything. You speak truth, and you let the truth handle the lies, right? But if you're one of those people who decide that you want to take a stand publicly, then your stance should be able to be destroyed by a simple Google search, okay? And that's what's going on right now with these evangelical Christians who are saying that people should boycott the movie Black Panther, because they're saying that this movie supports the Black Panther Party, and they call it a hate group. Okay, so let's address that for those people who may not know. And for any of the Gentiles and any evangelical Christians who may come out of this video, let me inform you what the Black Panther, the movie, is really about versus the Black Panther Party. First of all, the character Black Panther was first introduced in 1966 in a comic book called The Fantastic Four. He was not from America. Okay. The Black Panther Party was in America. Okay. This guy was not from America. He was from a fictitious, fictional kingdom called Wakanda in Africa. The character was later featured in his own comic story going forth, and it was rumored that because of his high intellect, royal status, and high standards of morality, that the Black Panther Party chose the name that they did by calling themselves the Black Panther Party. It wasn't because he was out there robbing. It wasn't because he was out there doing these things. It was because of his high intellect, his royalty, and his high standard of morality. The character Black Panther was a comic book character, but yet it was something that people could look to and say, this is a standard that our people need to rise to. Okay? Now, secondly, the Black Panther Party was not a hate group. I just want to put that out there. The Black Panther Party was not a hate group. They want to tell you today, 40 years removed, 40, 50 years removed from what that time that they existed, that they was a hate group. But let me tell you the truth of the matter. How many incidents did you see the Black Panthers going up in white churches and burning them to the ground? Okay? What incidents did you see the Black Panther Party going into white neighborhoods, dragging people out of the houses and lynching and hanging them? Did you ever see that? Can you give me some stories of that? Okay? Give me a story of a Black Panther Party going into an all-white community, bombing it and burning it to the ground, killing everybody there. Can you tell me any instances of that? Okay? Can you tell me any incidents of the Black Panther Party going into communities, preventing people to vote, preventing people to have jobs, robbing people of their land? Can anybody give me any incidents of that? Okay? But yet, they want to clarify and categorize the Black Panther Party as a hate group. But on the other hand, what we call the Ku Klux Klan, for almost 200 years, have been hanging, bombing, killing, robbing, raping people, and no FBI agents has come in and destroyed them. Okay? So, for all you evangelical Christians, you might want to do a couple of Google researches when you started calling a party or a group of people a hate group, and you might need to look into your own communities, your own mayors, your own sheriff deputies, your own teachers, your own politicians, your own president. Okay? Before you start talking about hate groups. You understand? Because the Black Panther Party was not a hate group. Now, lastly, on the Black Panther Party, because this is the so-called Black History Month, let me just put this out here for the people. The Black Panther Party, all these crimes and things that they want to accuse people of, they will never tell you that all of these people that was committing these crimes were FBI and CIA implants. Okay? The FBI will send people into the group, commit crimes, put a Black Panther t-shirt on, and then get arrested and say these are the people that committed crimes. Okay? So all the drugs, all the murder, all the things, the gang affiliations and all that you hear about were all FBI and CIA implants. Okay? So for all you evangelical Christians, you Jesus followers, you understand? Before you start speaking on things that have nothing to do with you, make sure you understand the truth of what you're talking about. You're making yourself look like an idiot by calling on for a protest of a movie that has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So the next time you want to take a stance, just do a simple Google search, and then that way you'll know exactly what you're talking about. All right? Now, Jay, put that link in there. We're going to put this link in there. We're going to give you some information on the Black Panther Party. You can see that Jay, the guy who started the FBI, came up with an idea to destroy the Black Panther Party. You will find on June the 15th, 1969, that J. Edgar Hoover declared that the Black Panther Party, without question, represents the greatest threat to the eternal security of the country. Now, let's rewind. How many incidents of the Black Panther Party did you see burning churches, white churches to the ground? How many Black Panther parties went into white neighborhoods and hung people and killed people, raped women, and did these things? None of that, okay? So, but yet, J. Edgar Hoover declared that them to be the greatest threat to the security of America. I wonder why. Black men and women empowering themselves? Black men and women thinking of themselves as soldiers and warriors? I think that would be a threat to people who want to keep somebody oppressed. Right? Right? So, if you read the files, if you go and research and you take a look at this link that we put it there, you will see that J. Edgar Hoover himself had to say it was not the guns, because that's what they want to tell you quick on. That's what the evangelical Christians would go to, right? They would still say, that's right, Sheena. They still want to honor him. You know what I'm saying? We won't even get into that. I could teach a whole lesson on that guy. So but let me stay on point here. The evangelical Christians will always come up and talk about the guns that they had, but you'll never talk about the guns that your people have. You'll never talk about the situation that your people are doing. We had the guns, but we won't kill nobody with it. We're protecting our people. What are the KKK doing with their guns? Okay? Right? But, that's neither here nor there. But he said that, that the greatest threat to the eternal security of America was not the guns, it was the free children's breakfast program. Not the guns, the free children's breakfast program. So this is what J. Edgar Hoover was worried about. Not that the Black Panther Party had guns, but because they were feeding and providing for themselves. Shabbat Shalom, good seeing you on with us this morning. So the real threat, what they were concerned with, was not the fact that they had guns and were protecting themselves. It's because they were beginning to enterprise themselves and feed themselves and provide for themselves. And this was the threat, because now they wasn't looking to depend upon the government to feed them. They was trying to do for themselves. And this was ultimately the problem. So, all you evangelical Christians who want to speak against something, the next time you want to take a stance on anything that has to do with our community and our people, just make sure you do a Google search. Make sure you go and read something before you start running off in the mouth and claiming that you're standing up for your Jesus. You understand? Now that we settled that, let's go.